It's time for Insight, an inside view of what's happening in South Jersey. Join your hosts Anthony Fanucci and Jim Quinn as QVC brings you Insight with Anthony and Jim.
Hello everybody, welcome to Insight, which the host normally is Jim Quinn and his guest is normally Mayor Anthony Fanucci, but tonight I'm a backup, and Paul Spinelli, Councilman Spinelli, is the mayor's backup, and I'm Jim Quinn's backup. And it's great to see Paul, who I've known a very long time, ever since high school.
Yeah, high school times.
He played at Sacred Heart, I played at Vineland High. But tonight to kind of get the message out how well the city of Vineland is doing, economically, just generally speaking. And I know that there's a big city municipal race this year in November, where the mayor and council is up again for re-election. And I just want to begin, Paul, with talking about re-election. Who's on your team now? And one of your members did opt not to run again.
Actually, two did. Ron Franceschini is not running again. I think he just got tired. And Dave Acosta, just this past week, let the mayor know that because of his illness, he is on dialysis. He didn't feel that he could physically do the job, even though he said mentally, I'd like it. It's fun, but unfortunately, he just didn't think he could get to places and do things.
And health is
more important than anything, right?
But I know Dave Acosta for a long time, educator, a great council member, and Ron Franceschini, obviously an East Vinelander from a family from East Vineland that is very well thought of, and Ron does a great job also. So you're going to lose two quality people.
Two quality people. David had a lot of experience in the casino industry because he worked for the state, and then in Ohio and Massachusetts actually ran it for the states. A very, very, very intelligent man, very knowledgeable about Vineland. Big family, great people. Ron, same thing, has a big family. Ron was in the health industry. He was a heart therapist for Bacharach when they were open. And during COVID, I think he retired, and he's kind of going in a couple of different directions. But he really helped us a lot with our EMS and our health department and our OEM, emergency management stuff. So they're going to be missed.
Yeah, especially on a local level. Everybody brings a certain skill set to the table that helps the city of Vineland on a municipal level. And those two brought a certain skill set, each of them, that added to the greatness of the city of Vineland. Paul, who else now replaces them?
We still on the ticket is Dr. Elizabeth Arthur, myself, and Al Vargas. And the newcomers are Cruz Gomez. I know Cruz peripherally through baseball and sports. He's a coach and things of that nature. And I knew his wife very well because she was a secretary in Fanucci's insurance office at the time. And Scott English, who I've known forever. When my son was in high school, Scott was one of the people that helped us start the Red and Gray Gridiron Club with Brian DeWinney and myself, Gene Medio, and a few others. So, and again, what I see of Cruz, I think he's going to bring a different skill set than what we had, more so probably on the recreation side. And then also with Scott's got experience. He was on the board of ed, pretty popular individual, not afraid to ask the tough question, et cetera. And those kind of people we want.
It's not by chance that ex-school board members end up on council. It seems like Ron Franceschini
was on it. He was on with me.
You were on it.
I was on it.
Anthony Fanucci.
Right, he was on it with me as well. And Scott English and David Acosta was on it.
Also.
So was Elizabeth Arthur.
I remember back in the 90s when I ran, they said, well, you're using it as a stepping stone.
No.
There's nothing wrong with starting in government at the
local level.
The local level.
Yeah.
Low level. That's unpaid, by the way.
That's correct.
Volunteering many hours, as you well know, on the school board, and it gives you a sense of, if you don't know your school district and your community, you can't ever expect to go any higher than that. So all these people that come through the school board system, I think are extremely accomplished. They understand government from that level too.
That's correct.
And now they move into city government, and it's an easy transition.
And quite frankly, I mean, the school board's budget is $200 million, and the city's is only about 60 or 70 if you take the electric utility out of it. So, I was chair of the finance committee there. So was Anthony, and so was David when he served. So. We had a lot of experience with that and making our budgets and making the cuts. And again, not with always trying to preserve jobs, but still get the services out and things of that nature.
And the Vineland school system having well over 17 or 20 buildings now.
Yes.
But thousands of employees.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean,
the instructional staff has got to be 2,000.
Well, I taught in Atlantic City, which is a smaller district than Vineland. And I had 1,700 members. I was a union president.
Right.
So it's a big undertaking. And listen, we all know the most important thing we have are our youth, because they're the people that are going to take care of us in future years. And so getting that right is probably more important than maybe even what we do at the municipal level.
And as you said, the amount of money that as large as that budget is, and as how much state money is plowed into the city of Vineland, based on a court case back in the early 90s. Vineland was fortunate enough, Millville and Bridgeton in Cumberland County, to be considered a special needs district / Abbott district. And there's maybe up to 90% of the funding comes from the state of New Jersey.
Yes.
So with
and
that,
most of it earmarked.
And with that comes responsibilities and gets earmarked for certain programs. That's why they're called special needs districts. So that being said, I mean, that is very important that those people get that experience. I know Scott English was president, I think, at the board at one time too. So he'll be an outstanding member on city council. And I don't know Mr. Gomez, but I'm sure if he's involved in the Vineland youth programs, he has a solid foundation. I think I know him, I know of him, but and you still have so the other three with you is
Al Vargas,
who's a retired police officer,
and he ran the PAL,
and he's doing a good job. I know he's taken a special interest in the veterans park
affairs,
over there,
that's right.
And of course, Elizabeth Arthur, I've known her and the Arthur family my entire life, and it's just an old Vineland family, and she does a good job too. So here we are, election in November, every 4 years.
Presidential year.
I remember when it was attached to the presidential year, and I had mentioned that to the current mayor back then, and I forget who it was. I said, make sure you understand, before it was an April election, and everybody in town was focused on just that one election and those people that were running.
That's correct.
Now you're putting it in a presidential year where there's so many candidates at so many different levels, and it doesn't become maybe as focused and as interesting. So
it becomes a little convoluted.
Yeah, I wouldn't kept it where it was, but that's just me, I guess.
That's the way it happened. That's it.
The way it happened. Moving forward, since 4 years ago, what's different today than 4 years ago when you last ran? You can point to, you think?
I tell you, the first 4 years we were in, quite frankly, we were trying to catch up.
You know what, Councilman? We're going to break because I know this is going to be a long answer.
Yeah, it is.
So we're going to break now for some of our sponsors that help us do our job here. Without them, we can't put this show on and provide it to the public. So we'll be back in sight.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community, local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
Mary, did you know your baby boy one day walk on water?
New Life Church in Millville, New Jersey.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves by making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
Many people treat their health like a game. With Complete Care Health Network, it's easy to start your healthcare journey. Just select from our specialties and schedule online, by phone, or on our app. Our entire team communicates with one another, so everyone works together on your total health. Plus, we make it even easier with all of these additions.
It's time for Insight, an inside view of what's happening in South Jersey. Join your hosts Anthony Fanucci and Jim Quinn as QVC brings you Insight with Anthony and Jim.
Subbing for Jim Quinn and Mayor Fanucci is myself, Nick Asselta, and Councilman Paul Spinelli, and we're just getting back to the conversation of what has happened, transpired in the last 4 years that council can point to that has changed the city in a good way, and some of the challenges that you have in the future here.
Like I said, as I began to say, the first 4 years that Anthony was mayor and I was, heading council, the biggest challenge was rebounding from 4 years, probably 8 years, of really not much happening and no money. We were left with less than $1 million in surplus. Okay. And if anybody knows anything about surplus, your bond rating is based on how much surplus you have. So we had to rebuild it. We're sitting around $15-16 million right now in surplus. And if we keep it around there, anywhere between there and 20, our bond rating is very high and we can bond for things that we need. That was the initial push, along with trying to do other projects. What we have coming up, I think in the last 4 years, we've been very proactive in bringing business here. Our prediction in this upcoming year is we'll probably bring in over $76 million worth of business.
So new business, new rateable business.
New rateable business into the city of Vineland for this year. we've increased it so much so that this year actually we have no tax increase. So, and that is all due to having more industry and more commercial business. When you look around, I think what you see is Landis Avenue is cleaner. We have a crew dedicated to that, to get the litter up, to take care of the plants, to get the mulch in, to to water the plants so they don't die, get all the weeds out of the pavers that are there, etc. And we have noticed, and people have noticed, that when they drive down, the presence of it's just a prettier sight. So that's a very good thing. Going down further toward 55, everybody sees the expansion that's going on down there, and we're finishing up the paving portion of that in this upcoming year, so it'll get paved all the way to Route 55. So you'll have a little bit of smoother ride than all the bumps and everything that people are going through while all the construction was going on. So that's one thing. Two, we ran out of industrial land. That's how much business we were bringing in. As people left or vacated, they were filled like this. And that was a good thing, that we could fill them up, and we expanded out there, and everybody's seeing the expansions along Mill Road, Garden Road, etc. We also have a crew dedicated to keeping that area clean too, because that was turning into a dump site for people. So now we have crews that go through there daily. They clean it up. They keep it very presentable so that when business people come in, they have a good presence. We probably paved more roads in Vineland in the past 4 years than any mayor prior to Perry Barcy and after Perry Barcy. Perry did, I think, maybe 3 or 4 miles internally on his own, plus what he did externally. We've done almost 10 miles internally on our own, and plus the externals. But when we do it, we're doing it differently. And now anything that we mill, we put infrastructure and we put all new pipes in. If electric's underground, it goes in. We're putting Wi-Fi cable in, etc. Because Anthony is headstrong on, he wants to be a smart city and have our own IP address. Whether you agree with it or don't agree with it is questionable. But the part of it is that we think we can provide it cheaper, or at least if we can't provide it cheaper, we'll push Comcast and Verizon into more competitive rates. So that being said, what we will do eventually when we get it up, and we're in the process of starting to get it moving now, we'll start it in the industrial parks first, and that'll be the test run for us on how it works and how it's functioning. We will have our own division that works out of the utility that will be the infrastructure for internet and things of that nature, and they will service it.
Was that going to be a piece of this middle mile project too?
The middle mile project is the county's issue.
Yes.
We really don't have anything to do with that.
Vineland was not going to be part of that.
No, we were ahead of that.
Right.
We don't need the middle mile because we have poles everywhere anyway.
Yeah.
And we own the poles, so we can run all our cable where we need to run it.
But you could have managed.
We could have managed it. In fact, we actually talked to the county in the previous administration about trying to do a combination, because we figured Vineland would be a little bit ahead of them because we started before they did, and that really they could tie into our ring around the city, and that tie-in would give them easier access to some of the other areas of the county that wouldn't have it, i.e. instead of having them run separate stuff out to Pittsgrove, we butt up to that, so they could run it right out of ours.
Right.
This administration, that conversation is out being had again. The last administration, prior to the new people, Joe Cilio and those guys getting in, was not amicable to talking about it.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that's coming. And as everybody knows, we're also looking to bring recreation to Vineland. We've increased our fields and our parks. We're actually building another dog park over at West Side Complex for the West Side of the town so that people don't have to come all the way to East Vineland for that. And we're cleaning up our parks. We're making them look better. We're putting signage on them with lights and things of that nature so that people can use them. There's no sense having a park and then, you don't clean up all the goose stuff.
So Vineland's park system is pretty extensive.
19 parks.
19 parks. And then, of course, other cities have parks. So I know there's been a conversation about a county park. I see it as redundancy. I see it. Vineland has a great system. Bridgeton has the zoo. Millville has a city park system.
Right.
So all probably you need is to enhance the municipal systems.
And we do that. What we are constantly doing is reevaluating the use of it. On Magnolia, you will see pickleball courts coming in.
Okay.
We're going to take one of the basketball courts that's not used very often, and I think one of the tennis courts. We're going to make pickleball courts. They also can use Gatone Stadium because we made that a multi-use park. Blitz football is going to move over to Gatone Park.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we have to move them eventually because we are building Jake's Park in where the soccer complex is and where they are. And Jake's Park is a special needs park, and it will be right now the only one in the county. Pretty much the only one south of Trenton. Basically the special needs park is for adult special needs people and kids, and it also has an autism piece to it for sensitivity and things of that nature for the autistic children. So, and that is huge. It's probably a better part of 4 acres that's in that complex, and it's all that back section plus where the football field was. So and we think that's going to be a destination because there are so many people that you don't know about that have Downs kids and have autistic children and things of that nature, and this is a park that they all can use it. So I think you'll see that become a destination for people outside of the city as well. So we're doing those kind of things, and then you have some adult recreation coming. Where you have the old Avalon carpet building. He's already got that building gutted. He's putting a bowling alley in there and an axe throwing, an axe throwing piece to it with a little cafe bar in there as well.
Anything with Sears? People ask that.
Nothing is happening with Sears.
Isn't that incredible, the location of that building?
Well, Sears Holding now owns Sears.
Right.
And they don't want to negotiate.
Yeah, they own all over the country. They own a bunch of them.
And unfortunately, it's hard to bring businesses in there because the creek runs under the Sears lot, so you can't really dig. So you really have to put pads, and people have looked at it. We've had different people that wanted to go there, and then it just got too convoluted. Yeah.
Let me talk about a couple other things that I've noticed. We got a new police station under your administration.
New fire station coming. That'll be there in October.
A rehab of City Hall, exterior-wise.
Yes, and interior. And
interior, too. So these are things that people notice because they're out there and they're driving by it all the time. But and without any tax increase, you're still able to build those buildings, bond them out for years to come, and it works. Those particular facilities, let's say the Vineland Police Station was built in the 70s, I think.
In the 70s, right.
50 years old.
City Hall was Bud Garten. He built
City
it,
Hall in
right?
1972, right? 71, something like that.
The fourth and Wood fire station's got to be in the 60s.
Late 60s, too. So all these facilities obviously need to be on a time frame, a replacement time frame. And that's why a progressive administration thinks about those things and plans for those things.
What we're doing, Nick, it's very interesting. Sue Baldessari is a dynamite CFO. And, she'll argue with you and make her points, but she does know how to maneuver money and make it work for you. and Anthony's very good at it as well. So what we have done to try to use the bonding for buildings and things of that nature, which are big costs, is when we buy police cars and fire engines and emergency wagons, it's a pay-as-you-go.
Yeah.
So there's no bonding for any of that stuff, and that's what used to get bonded out. And that was the old way of doing business. And we found that actually if we pay as we go on that stuff, then we can fix all this stuff here.
The bigger
things,
projects.
Because we're fixing the senior center now too, which came in as a bigger number because of the damage that was on the interior that we didn't even know about.
You mean the old
library,
which was built by Carnegie.
Yeah.
And my great-grandfather built that for Carnegie for $12,000
Right.
back in the day.
And we're renovating that now too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and we just renovated the library. So the library got a renovation. So, I mean, as we're going through these things, we're fixing these buildings so that, they don't need the work that we are putting into them, because no one did anything for years and years. And it's not their fault. It's not blaming anybody. It's just, I get you try to keep the budgets down and things of that nature, but you also can't let this stuff deteriorate because it costs you more money. You're kicking it down the road.
And it's not.
And
It's
so,
not progressive thinking, and right now, this administration is already thinking 10 years down the road.
Well,
what other projects need to be done in the next 10 years?
Our financial plan is 7 years out,
Right.
and and our building plans are, and our road plan is. I mean, if you come into City Hall, we can show you the road plan for the next 5-6 years.
Yeah.
What's going to get paved, what's going to get, preservation rather than paving. And things of that nature, and what we feel the cost is going to be. So each year, now something you've been in government, some little things change here and there in the plan because of need or something happens. But
breakdowns.
Those are the things that this administration has brought. It's foresight, and but I credit the mayor in including city council in a lot of his meetings to talk about this stuff, so that they know what's going on as well, and that we can see and we don't get surprised, and we know what the costs are going to be. So when it hits us, we're not asking a million questions.
It's a partnership, legislative branch,
That's right.
administrative branch. It's like that all the way up the line, but that's important. There's communication. Sometimes that doesn't happen with mayor and council, depending on who wins what elections,
Right.
But in this case, consistency is important with that for the good of the citizens of Vineland and the future of Vineland. So getting back to infrastructure, and when you build it, they really do come. And Route 55 is a tremendous example of a highway that floundered. It was just a small piece was built in the 70s, and then in the 80s it was finally finished, and that opened up all those industrial parks for Vineland.
Yes, it did.
Because transportation is important, and the infrastructure brings businesses to Vineland. So that road is a prime example of infrastructure, as you are doing with your technology, is a whole nother kind of infrastructure.
That's correct.
And that's creating a whole nother spurt maybe of some development.
And what we actually did, our marketing has increased tremendously. Now we have a pretty large marketing budget for that reason, but we marketed in Philadelphia because Philadelphia was advertising it as a cold storage port, but they didn't have a lot of cold storage. So what we did is we talked to the people in Philadelphia, and we said, listen, man, you're 35 minutes down the road. You're 55, you get right off. We got all the cold storage you want.
Right.
And so all these cold storage places boomed.
Yeah.
And, they're building warehouses. They're bringing 50, 60 jobs into the warehouses. They're not a lot of jobs, but it's a lot of income because they use a lot of electricity, and they pay a lot of taxes. So, people like Mr. Lavari, who just expanded again and then built his offices on Mill and Almond. The amount of infrastructure that he has built there to keep his business and grow his business has been outstanding. And there's other people have done the same.
Is there any other spots where we can you can build another industrial park.
We're building one, actually. We bought the old state school on Almond Road.
Oh, okay.
So we have just got it recently. So what we have to do is go in those buildings. We got to demo them.
Yeah.
The bonus is that there's a lot less asbestos than we thought.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of the stuff that we thought was in the ground was removed when they all left. A lot of the tanks and stuff like that.
Wow.
So we
State removed.
Right.
Okay.
So we don't have to do too much of that, but it's going to take a little bit. But and that's a gigantic piece of land that, quite frankly, I'll be honest with you,
Nothing else. There's no other use for it. Really.
I said I bet you once we open it up to industrial use, within 2 years, I bet you it'll be
it's
full.
a mile or two off of 55.
Right. Exactly. And it's still Mill Road.
Yeah.
And what we're doing now, in preparation for that, is we're paving all Mill Road.
Yeah. Right.
So that the trucks now can get on, either go down to Garden or come back to Landis, and we're fixing that intersection at Landis as well to be wider so they can make the turn. So, I mean, those are the things that are going on now. And then as you see on 55, what John Rug is doing, he's building a destination golf course, and it's going to bring a lot of other businesses because he has a lot of land that the golf course isn't taking. I believe he has in the vicinity of 100 acres.
100 acres there off of 55.
Right, and so he's got the premier golf course, Trump Reserve, and then he's got Silica Sands, which is a 9-hole course, which is supposed to open in July, and I believe the Millville Chamber's going to open it up in in October.
So
with
with
the golf
18
tournament.
and
18 and it's 27
premier,
holes, right?
And then 9 is for
regular.
the public,
Right.
general public.
And he's going to build a restaurant of some nature, a clubhouse that serves food and has a restaurant, and it has some suites in it as well for, right. And he's also building an event center in there as well. He's building a gun range.
Well, you know what?
So.
Vineland does not have a large event center where you can house 350
right, exactly.
people for a dinner.
Because you have to go to Atlantic City, you got to go to Cherry Hill,
or out here at the Savoy,
right?
Which is Atlantic County,
right?
Not the city of Vineland.
So, all that being said, now you're going to have an event center that's attached to this golf course, and there's some other things as well that look like they might be coming. We really can't say, but if this other business comes in, it will be 400 high-paying jobs, and I'm telling you, it's a monster. But it will bring in
that same general location.
It will be on his business property, not on the golf course. It'll actually oversee the golf course.
Okay.
The plans on it that they showed us, the building is unbelievable. But if they come in and they do what they're saying, 400 high tech jobs, and people staying here to live that are making big money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so now you have a higher class of people.
All right, Councilman, we're going to break for a commercial, and we'll be back with Insight. Councilman Paul Spinelli.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community, local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
Life on Earth offers some challenges. Things are constantly changing. Seems like we're fighting battles all the time. But you're a warrior for God, and He's given you the armor of God. Join Pastor Myers for this exciting series on how to be equipped to win. It begins May 5th at 11 a.m.
New Life Church, Millville, New Jersey.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves by making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
Many people treat their health like a game. With Complete Care Health Network, it's easy to start your healthcare journey. Just select from our specialties and schedule online, by phone, or on our app. Our entire team communicates with one another, so everyone works together on your total health. Plus, we make it even easier with all of these additional benefits. Level up your health with us. Complete Care Health Network. No games, just great health care for everyone.
The most important decisions a family can make are usually made around the kitchen table. At DeMarco Luisi Funeral Home, we believe pre-planning and the difficult decisions you face with the loss of a loved one should also be made around the comfort of a table, like a family. Our friendly, kind, and compassionate staff is committed to helping you get through this most difficult time. In your time of need, trust DeMarco Luisi Funeral Home, Vineland.
It's time for Insight, an inside view of what's happening in South Jersey. Join your hosts Anthony Fanucci and Jim Quinn as QVC brings you Insight with Anthony and Jim.
Oh, welcome back to Insight. Subbing Nick Asselta, subbing for Jim Quinn, and Councilman Paul Spinelli, subbing for Mayor Anthony Fanucci. And I think we want to get back to basics and back to you, Paul. And I know you're a Vinelander forever. You grew up. Tell us a little bit about your personal history, and then obviously your wife and where she came from. She wasn't
She's
from
a Philadelphia girl.
She's a Philly girl, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was born in Vineland in 1953. I grew up on Oak Road, right next to Giovanni's Deli. Mm-hmm. I actually worked there when I was a teenager and helped run it for him when he would go to Sicily. So that was one of my first jobs. And then I went to Sacred Heart High School and graduated. In 1971, I went to Mount St. Mary's, got my BS in...
A lot of Vinelanders went to the Mount. Al Rocchetti, Chalky Ottinger.
Right. Henry Zarella.
A lot of Sacred Heart
veterans.
people. There was a pipeline to Mount St. Mary's, right?
I went there and I got a BS in history education. My father wanted to be a lawyer, so I took the law boards. I did good, and I said, I don't want to be a lawyer. So I became a teacher. I actually taught a year there, so I went to the University of Maryland while I was teaching, and my roommate was Randy White.
Oh, wow.
From the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys. Defensive tackle.
And so that was kind of neat.
That's why you like the Cowboys. So.
No, I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Okay.
And got my first master's degree there in computer science, and came back home after I broke up with my girlfriend.
From college?
From college, yeah.
Right.
And then I taught in Williamstown for a year. I left there because of the rifts, because the Vietnam War was still on.
Right.
And went and taught in Catholic school for a couple of years. Then went taught at Cumberland for a year. The lady came back from pregnancy leave, so I got riffed again. And I went to Atlantic City, and I was there the rest of my career.
What school?
I taught initially in a high school. Then they riffed 22 teachers my second year, but they hired them all back but one. And I got sent to the middle school, which is now Texas Avenue School.
Yeah.
And I was there for about 8 years, and then I got moved back to the high school. And the rest of my career was in
So you got moved back to the new high school?
I was actually moved back to the old high school,
okay,
and then went to the new high school. And while I was there, I got another master's degree in supervision and leadership for principal certification and a supervisor cert. And when I retired in 2009. And
I think you were the union rep for Atlantic City, right?
I was the union rep for the building, and then I became the president, vice president in an 8-year period. And actually, for about 17 years of the 30 that I was there, I actually negotiated all their contracts for the teachers. And once I retired, I actually got on the Board of Education here. I served one term, and I got defeated in the next election, and which is fine. It comes with the
Right.
I was the finance chair while I was here, and that was a good experience with big budgets and things of that nature. And then I kind of sat it out for a while, and I was a substitute principal in Millville for 14 years.
What school there?
Was any school in every school.
Wherever they put you.
I initially started at Lakeside, then I went to high school for a while, and in the elementaries as the principals for a while. Anybody was sick or was out.
How about the
you
Wood
filled in.
School?
Wood School, I was there. I was very good friends with the principal, and I was there a long time.
Bill Sheridan.
Bill Sheridan left.
Yeah.
Harry Drew got it, and that's when I actually started.
Harry Drew. Yeah, he lived in Vineland.
Yeah, and he moved out. He moved out toward up in Gloucester County.
Mm-hmm.
And I just actually retired from that this past year, and it was fun. It was a good time. They're very nice people to work with. And during that entire time, I was a basketball official, and you coached.
Yeah.
And
I don't think I ever coached a game when you refereed.
You may not.
Junior college, did you do?
I did ACC.
Games? You must have.
Actually, I got in, and I went in at 76.
Yeah.
I didn't retire until 2 years ago. So 46 years or something, like 48 years, and for 28 of those, I was the assigner. And John Parentazzi was my mentor in that. Him, Lou Grilly, and Bernie Goldstein, and
Axel Johnson.
Yeah, they were all there. Jerry Nolan, the whole crew. Jimmy Catalina.
Yeah.
They were all ahead of me, and they were good mentors. And we really did learn how to ref and do well. And then
that's an unsung job.
Yes,
boy. The grief you take for that. And in those days when you started, the money wasn't.
No, the money
was almost a volunteer job.
Pretty much.
To take all that grief. At least now they're getting paid.
Yeah, they're getting paid well
pretty
for
well
high school.
Right.
And then I got into Division III basketball, and I got a couple playoff games after a couple years in. You do junior college at the same time, and then I got a couple on Jack finals doing that, and then I got into Division II as well because the schools were jockeying, and then by accident I got into Division I. I did a Penn freshman game, and I had my son with me. He was maybe 4 or 5 years old,
right,
and he watched the game, and my assigner was actually reffing the varsity game, so I said, well, I'll hang around and watch. So I left my stuff in the locker room, and I said, listen, call me when you do your pregame. I come and listen. So he's, all right, well, I'm waiting. Nobody's coming out, and I'm warming up, right? Nothing. All of a sudden he comes out, he said, come on in. So I said, all right, I go listen to the pregame, right? He says, put your clothes on. Wow. You got a ref. Guy got caught in Chicago in a snowstorm. He couldn't show up. So it was him and Bobby Donato. They were both from Philly, John Koskinen. And their pregame was, we'll ref the game, you call out of bounds.
I got a question. So, all those years reffing, name the best player you ever reffed on the floor with that you can remember.
High school, Kobe Bryant.
That's an excellent one. Okay.
And that was in Summer League.
He's got to supersede everybody, right?
He was in Summer League at the camp that we ran.
Oh, okay.
There were a half a dozen.
Well, the Sunny Hill League, too.
Yeah. There were a half a dozen or more players that actually went through the camp that Rich Marcucci ran.
Yeah.
And we ran a basketball referees camp with him. And I got in the Ivy League because of that game. Frosty Francis was the assigner at the time. And he sent me a watch, said, thank you for reffing the game and covering it. And I went to his camp the next year and I got in. And I stayed there for about
great memories.
10 years.
Basketball, great memories.
And so I got Division II and Division III playoffs in the NCAAs.
Right. Yeah.
And I told everybody, I said, listen. They said, well, you never made it big. I said, I did make it big. I said, you know why? Because I never thought I'd get there.
That far.
I said, I was happy doing high school.
Define big.
Yeah.
Right.
What's big? And I realized that I was not going to do Villanova or Kentucky or,
Right.
you know, I wasn't, I didn't have the stature for it. I was a short, heavy set
Yeah, but
guy.
not only that, there are so many people
that are
ahead of you.
Yes.
You know, to climb that high.
And to be honest with you, even to get to where I got, you have to be godfathered in. If you're not, you don't get there.
Yeah, it's a closed club.
And now once you get there, you got to be able to stay.
Yeah.
You know, but these guys, and I help people get in. You know, I mean, I had a half a dozen guys behind me from our board that got in. And we're doing Division 2 and 3. Some hung on, some are still doing it, and some got canned. You know, because they didn't want it. So I married my wife Josephine. I met her in Atlantic City when I got my job. And
was she teaching there? AC
she was
too?
teaching in AC at the time. She was a Philadelphia girl who moved to Brigantine with her father. When she went to high school, she went to Holy Spirit. I don't let her live that down.
Oh, boy.
And
when you say Holy Spirit, one name always comes up in my head is Chris Ford.
Chris Ford.
Played against him. And I believe he's probably the best South Jersey player.
Yeah.
I mean, Hall of Famer to me in South Jersey. But
yeah, he went to school with my brother.
Yeah.
My brother in Villanova.
Yeah.
And his hands were so big.
That's the key to the game is big hands. Speaking of big hands, so two people I played against. David Thompson was on the freshman team that I played against, and then I got moved up to Ryder, and I was a freshman and sat on the bench. Couldn't play, but who rolls in was University of Massachusetts, and Dr. J rolls in. Killed, I think he 38 points, 26 rebounds, and nobody knew who he was.
Right.
So there are the things you remember.
You're right.
Just being in their presence is fantastic.
And the crazy part of it is that throughout my life, you know, through people I knew, you know, John and I, Parentazzi, became best friends. Yeah. And I helped go with the golf teams and stuff like that when he was coaching. So my golf highlight is we're out on Blue Heron and we're playing Oakcrest. And John and I are on the tee, and we're just going to tee off like 6 holes. And who walks up? Do you mind if I play with you? We don't know the guy. I'm looking, I know this guy. Dr. J.
Dr. J.
And what a golfer he is.
Really?
He
never
was
knew
a
he was
great
a great
golfer. Yeah. And
he lived in Atlantic City at Ocean Club for a long time. I don't know if he still lives there. One of his high rise, but he spent a lot of time in the AC area for sure.
And what a down.
Usually, tall people, their swing is just uncontrollable.
Yeah. No, he was very good, and just down to earth guy.
And so he's better than Barkley.
Oh, yeah, Barkley's on. Yeah, Barkley might be more entertaining.
Yeah, right.
But so I mean, they're the kind of highlights you have.
Yeah.
I mean, I coached out soccer and baseball. I mean, ref soccer and baseball when my kids were playing. I have a son who's the head TV engineer for Sinclair Broadcasting. It's the 3rd largest television company in the world. And he lives in Kingsville, Maryland, doing very well. I have 2 grandchildren, Angelo and Stella.
Stella.
The Italian names.
Yeah, right.
And they're the greatest kids in the world. And so, you know, my highlight as a grandparent is to go and watch them.
That's it.
But what was great is, one story, and then we could probably wind this up, is Angelo comes home and he can't hit. He's playing baseball. And he's all messed up at the plate, so I changed him around. And I played baseball when I was in high school.
You're an infielder.
Right. And I got him to get his shoulder up and his elbow up and stuff. So he said, well, that's not the way they're teaching me. I said, well, no. I said, well, listen, just do it my way. I'm going to tell you you're going to get hits. So bang, 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 bang. Well, he goes back and he does it their way. He can't hit. So my son says, do it the way Pop told you. So he does it the way I told him. He hits a triple. So he goes.
He changes his swing plane or what?
Well, you get his elbow up. You got it cocked.
Right.
You know, so you know, before he's down like this and he's facing frontwards, right? And from then on, and the kid loves baseball now.
Yeah.
And you know, so that's kind of just a neat thing that you teach. So he just sent me a schedule. He says, Pop, you got to come and see me play. So I got to go to Maryland for a couple games and go down there. He loves basketball, but he's going to be a midget, like I was when I played.
He's a point guard.
Yeah, and he's a great swimmer.
Oh,
and guess who teaches him? Phelps.
Oh, really?
He swims at the Phelps Center.
wow.
And because they don't have high school swimming in Maryland, so you have to go into club
No
swimming.
kidding. Maryland doesn't have
Yeah.
high school swimming.
So he's moving on, and hopefully, he carries the torch a little further.
That's
Because
it.
I was a rugby player in college, so it was a brutal game that I had.
With
fun.
Randy White? He wasn't right.
No, Randy
He wasn't allowed to get on any
he wasn't
field.
allowed to get nothing but a football field.
So listen, well, thanks. Councilman Paul Spinelli, really a lot of insight tonight on not only what's happening in the city of Vineland, the accomplishments of the Finucci/Spinelli team, and obviously a personal insight of him and his family. So thank you again, Councilman. Hope you
Thanks,
get
Nick.
reelected. You got my
Appreciate it.
endorsement
Thank you very
and my
much.
family's votes.
I appreciate
Congratulations.
it. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. We'll be wrapping this up now, and thank you again for watching Insight with Jim Quinn and Anthony Finucci.
This has been a QBC television production, in association with our partners and sponsors. QBC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22, and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QBC, programming that serves the South Jersey market.